Hello, YouTube. It is July 3rd, 2022. Independence Day right around the corner. Hope y'all enjoying your July 4th weekend. All things considered, I am enjoying mine. But if you watched the last video, you saw that my so-called girlfriend, and I use that term pretty loosely, was here at the Wander Inn, and I saw her vehicle, and I think I got it on the video. So I came in, went to the bar, saw my neighbors, who are actually in one of my vlogs. I'm walking down the street and I see them and I talk with them, and maybe I'll put a link to that in my description. Yeah, I'm never gonna do around that, let's be real. But so I saw my neighbors. They're an older couple, love them. The guy, Donnie, he used to be an Elvis impersonator back when that was a way to make a lot of money, and I've never heard anybody do Elvis karaoke better than Donnie. He did Moody Blue tonight, nailed it, was awesome. And his wife was actually a juicer for lime when I was a juicer for lime. Didn't do very well at it. I tried to help her. She did have a couple days she did kind of okay with pointers I gave her, but yeah, she just got to the point she didn't want to do it anymore, and she made me a really great deal selling me her chargers, which certainly helped me build my my business as a juicer. So always glad to see them. Didn't even talk to Priscilla whatsoever when I got in here. I came in on the front door, which, as you see, is right here on my left. And I ordered a drink. I actually didn't even have to order a drink. Like, as soon as I walked in, Lorraine, the bartender, was like pointed at the bottle of, like, generally I either drink beer or I drink rum, and she was pointing to my rum of choice, and I was like, I just gave her the thumbs up. I'm like, love you, Lorraine. It's great when your bartenders just see you walk in and they're just like, know you, love you, you want this. I'm like, yes I do, thank you. And then you have to go up and order a drink. Like, I just continued my conversation with Donnie and his wife, and she brought me my drink. And about that time, Priscilla started singing. Sang a Tovolo song, which is so ironic considering like where her and I are at, because the one she was singing, it's a pretty sexually charged song, and of course, she, like as I've mentioned in some videos, like, she actually spends her money she could be using to get her own apartment, or I don't know, maybe pay the electric bill and the internet bill and the gas bill that she still hasn't paid yet. She takes that money and she buys it on tracks to provide to the karaoke hosts here, which I love. I love the karaoke hosts here. Good people. In fact, it's Tim and Kimmy, and Tim gave me a bag that he found. Like, he does recovery of large vehicles, and he recovered some kind of abandoned motorhome, and he found a bunch of old portable cassette players. I want to say Walkmans, but there was not a Sony product in there, and most of them were kind of low-end junk. There's kind of a mid-level early 90s Iowa, especially in the battery cover, but it looks like it has the potential to be a pretty good little portable fucking cassette deck and radio. So I'm gonna work on all of them, even the shitty ones, because it's 2022. You know, you're best for the younger generations that are getting into cassettes, cassette tapes as a novelty. Get a good cassette deck, but look at this guy coming down the road with no headlights on. Did you see that? White car, no headlights. That guy's gonna wonder why he got a DUI. Anyway, on that note, headlights are on. I'm not forgetting mine. Oh God, this is one of my favorite Justin Timberlake songs. Although I try not to get too excited when they play Mirror by Justin Timberlake on the radio, because it's almost always the radio edit, and the full version of Mirror is a pretty long song with this really great, like, kind of dramatic breakdown and crescendo, and then it does this transition into the song, and it's an amazingly great piece of music, especially for like R&B influenced pop. And the radio edit fades out before it gets to any of that, so it's like, it's getting to the part of the song that is really dramatic and good for me, and then it's like, it's over. So anyway, Hey, but it's pop radio. Once you pass 3.5 minutes, you've overstayed your welcome. There's not a lot of room in modern pop radio, and I say modern. This song's about a decade old, but there's not a lot of room in modern pop radio for an 8-minute song that's got really interesting musical transitions and crescendos and transitions and stuff. So, but props to Justin Timberlake for actually putting out pop music like that. And you better believe I got like both editions of the 50/50 Experience sitting at home, so I can listen to that when I get home off a CD. Anyway, so Priscilla's singing Tovlo, Disco Tits, which is a really raunchy song. It's like, I'm wet through all my clothes, something, 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 nipples are hard, I'm fully charged, ready to go. Yeah, not for me, she's not. It's been a long time since I've seen her wet through all her clothes or I've seen her nipples hard. I mean, at this point, the random occasions that we do actually have a little bedroom fun, she doesn't even take her shirt or her bra off. Like, it's not good. It's really not. Like, there's real intimacy anymore. It really isn't. Anyway, I had several more people today tell me about how, she's been showing up with some guy and he gave her a bass guitar. So I'm hearing that from more and more people. And I actually got a name from somebody, and I don't remember names, so I don't remember his name. But yeah, apparently and it's interesting because they're saying that he's a black guy, and Priscilla has told me numerous times that she doesn't date black guys. That's why she's with me. Apparently she's involved with a black guy now. Hey, I don't have an issue with that. Like, I'm definitely not a racist. Do what you do. Love is love. Skin color shouldn't matter. But I don't like liars. And she's told me more times than I can count that she wouldn't date a black man, and apparently she's dating a black man and leaving me for a black man. So I'm, good for that guy. Good luck with that. But it's just another example of the fact that she lies to me. And on that note, I've only ever actually met one of her ex-boyfriends, also a black guy. His name's Kevin, and Kevin is cool as fuck, and it kind of bums me out that with Priscilla and I separating like this, I'll probably never get to hang out with Kevin again. Because Kevin is a cool dude. He's a long-haul trucker. He usually comes and hangs with us, like, whenever he's doing, like, his travels take him to Arizona. Now, he's based in Atlanta, so it's not very often that he gets as far as Arizona, but it's cool. And every time we've gone to Atlanta, like, we've gone and hung out with him, and Kevin's a cool dude. And honestly, at this point, I'd probably rather hang out with Kevin than hang out with Priscilla. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah, she sings a song about her how she's so hot and bothered that she's soaking through her clothes and her nipples are hard. And then as soon as she finished the song, she went out the back door and got in her car and drove off because apparently she noticed that I was in the bar. Hasn't been back. At one point I walked up to talk to the karaoke host. I couldn't help but notice that she was texting Priscilla, has her in her phone as Cyclops. Whatever. Not holding that against Kimmy, but I couldn't help but notice that on her screen. But anyway, I don't know where she is. And, I had better things to do than leave the bar and try to follow her. I had a good time here singing. I had a lot of friends at this bar. I met some new friends at this bar. In fact, I met a guy, and I forget his name, but he was very inspirational to me. He's a 28-year-old guy, single dad, went through a divorce very recently in Colorado. He lives and works, does construction work in Vail. Vail is a ski town. It's a different world when you work and live in a ski town. Been there, done that. I used to be a radio professional in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Same kind of situation. Either you're sick, wealthy, rich, and you own a place that costs millions of dollars. You're sick, wealthy, rich, and you rent places that cost millions of dollars. Or you are paying hundreds of dollars a night for vacation rentals, short-term rentals. Whether that's a house or, whether that's a fucking Airbnb or whether that's, night in a resort. Or you have a job and you live there and you have some kind of employee housing. That was my situation. The guy I was hanging out with tonight that's from Colorado, lives in Vail. That was his situation as well. He does construction. His employer provides him a place to live in Vail because there's no way his paycheck gets him a place to live in Vail. That's just how Vail is. That's how Jackson was. Once I lost my gig at KZJH in Jackson, I was homeless. And I came to Phoenix. Been in Phoenix ever since. But anyway, that guy was very inspirational to me. He's here in Phoenix to spend 3 days with his 2-year-old son. He gets to see his 2-year-old son once a month for 3 days. That's his custody order. His custody order coming out of the, I don't know which county, but a state of Colorado Superior Court. It's operating out of Colorado laws. And the reason I mention this, and for those that are not familiar with custody laws, I mean, I could go on about family law and bore you all to tears, but understand family law varies greatly from state to state. Like he was talking about, well, he's hoping he can make enough impact on his son that when his son turns 13, he'll want to live with them. And I'm like, why 13? And I didn't fact check to see this right, but I believe him because I know a lot of states have similar laws to this. He says that at the age of 13, the courts are obligated to put the child with the parent they want to live with. There are states that have those kind of laws, and they typically kick in at ages 13, 14, 12, 13, 14. It gets really interesting around, say, age 15, 16, because at that point, regardless of operation of law, if you got a child that's 15 that doesn't want to live with you and wants to live with the other parent, they're just going to go there. It doesn't even matter what the law is. But that's a separate tragedy. Not even going to talk about that. So anyway, and I'm thinking, man, you're wanting to wait till 13 and your son is 2? Damn, dude. Anyway, so he's got this custody order that originates in a Colorado court. And I was talking about, it's like, what you should really do right now. I'm not telling you how to live your life or anything. And he seemed appalled at the suggestion because he doesn't like Arizona. He comes here to visit his son, gets the hell out. It's hot, it's miserable. I don't like it here. But yeah, family laws regarding custody vary greatly from state to state. And I mean greatly. But one very important part of custody law, which it's a state issue, is whether or not the custodial parent has the right to move away from the other parent with the kid. And for those that are in the whole father's rights circle or the family law circle, those are basically referred to as move away states. And the laws are different from state to state. And a state is either a move-away state or it's not a move-away state. If you're a woman and you've managed to get primary custody away from the father, but he still has, 3-4 days a week of visitation, but you have primary custody, and you want to really get him out of your child's life and he doesn't have a whole lot of money, best way to do it, if you're in a move-away state, is move away. You can move across the country. And the way the law generally operates, the state that you left, that is a move-away state whose laws allow you to move away, will still retain jurisdiction over that thing. So, I mean, the father can, petition for some modified visitation, or they can try to follow whatever visitation schedule was already ordered, but it's going to be at their expense and on their obligation to drive across the country for his visitation. And this guy, once a month, he's having trouble getting time off of his job to come to Arizona to see his 2-year-old son 3 days a week, once a month. That's brutal. That's awful. And I told him, I was like, dude, you need to come here. You need to come here. And then as soon as you get here, file a motion that switches the jurisdiction from Colorado to Arizona based on the fact that both of you reside in Arizona. And then once you're here, she can't do that to you again. Arizona is not a move-away state. Once upon a time, my dead ex-wife, hope she's having a great time burning in hell right now, she tried to leave with my older daughter, Allison, to Montreal, Quebec. And if we were in Colorado, or if we were in California or any other move away state, she could have done that. Just packed up her bags and gone. I mean, she has to let me know that she's moving, but there wouldn't be a goddamn thing I could do about it. And understand if had she moved away to, I mean, let's face it, she moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. As poor as I am and as unreliable as my cars have been, I probably wouldn't have been able to go. To say nothing of Montreal, Quebec. I don't even have a passport because a woman stole that from me. Anyway, Arizona's different. Arizona is not a move-away state. Now, every different state that is not a move-away state has different laws as far as how it orders and how it works in operation. But basically, any state that is not a move-away requires that, at the bare minimum, the parent that wants to move away with the kids, separated relationship where you got a custody order between two parents, must provide a notice, generally 30 days, maybe 60 days, whatever, but a notice with a certain amount of days and when they're planning to move, saying specifically where they're moving and why. And then you have a time window. Once you get that notice, you have a certain time window to, if you have a problem with it, file an objection with the court. Now, some states that are not move-away states or even have more extreme laws. Some of them actually require that the parent moving away must file a motion with the court or a petition with the court to get permission to move away. Now, Arizona is not a move-away state, but it's not that extreme. Like, she basically has to give me a certified, I don't know if it's a certified letter, but she has to send me a letter and there needs to be proof that she has sent it. Now, she doesn't have to file that proof with the court, but if I find that she moved away and she didn't, like, I can file a contempt petition and say, hey, she's left the state and I didn't get any notice she's doing it, and it actually becomes a kidnapping felony. So the repercussions are pretty stiff if a parent moves away out of Arizona without giving the other party adequate notice. I gotta give Daniela credit. She usually always dotted her I's and crossed her T's. Gosh, she had nice T's too. I missed them. Sorry, got distracted. Could have always used her in as a flotation device if needed. She had two nice ones. Anyway, moving on. She did actually have I was in jail at the time. Custody, child support stuff. That's a separate tragedy. I'm not even going to get into that. But she gave my, wow, something rolling up. I wonder who that is. Oh, wow. You okay?
Oh, you're the fucking, what is it called?
I'm Dan.
What the fuck are you?
Wait, what?
That was a crazy person over there.
Okay. I don't know that person.
Oh my God.
Are you okay? She's reasonably cute. Her and I sang Islands in the Stream together. I thought she was there with a boyfriend, but apparently she left with that guy, and that became a very bad situation. And she's drunk and not able to answer simple questions, so probably I don't want to mess with that. Anyway, where was I? Gosh, she's cute, though. Where was I? I'm totally down to give her a ride home, just make sure she's safe. Anyway, custody, move-away states. So yeah, Daniela presented to the county sheriff to have them, through the jail, to have them give me the certified letter, which of course creates a notice of service through the county sheriff, which they file, even though state law doesn't require it, they file it in the Superior Court. Like, whenever you have the county sheriff do service, they will file a notice of service with the court, because it's just what they do. So court got a notice that, she had filed, that she had sent me a letter regarding intentions to move with minor child out of Arizona. And I was in jail, and with a little stubby golf pencil, which is the only writing utensil they let you have in jail, I wrote a request for a hearing on that, which I'm statutory. All parents with a other parent who says they're going to move away and gives them notice has 30 days, statutory right to do that and object to it and say, hey, no, I don't want her moving away. It's going to impact my relationship with my child. And I don't know how it works in other states, but I will say this. In Arizona, the burden of proof on the parent wanting to move away is pretty stiff. That parent needs to basically show that the other parent is completely not a factor in the child's life. Mind you, I was in jail and hadn't seen my daughter in a couple of years, and she still didn't meet the burden of proof of showing that I was not a factor in my daughter's life. So you got to really, you got to basically show that other parent has abandoned the child. And mind you, if that other parent has abandoned the child, they're probably not petitioning for hearing. Just saying. And then you need to show that whatever it is you are moving out of Arizona for is so significant to the welfare of the child, never mind your own welfare, fuck your own welfare, that it's all about the best interest of the child. You need to show that whatever you're moving away for is so relevant to the welfare of the child that it outweighs potentially destroying the relationship with the other parent. To put it mildly, she failed to do that. If anything, it put some questions in the judge's mind as to why I hadn't been seeing my daughter. It put that issue back in front of the court. And now, mind you, I did what I needed to do to get out of jail. When I wrote the petition, I was in jail on child support, and at the time, I was. They wanted to get me on work release to make child support payments, and my legit reason for not doing that was that I've got mental health issues. I've been very open about that on this vlog. At that point in time, I was already receiving federal disability for it. I'm receiving SMI benefits. I mean, I've got how many vlogs where I go to the mental health clinic? Hello, that's why I go there. I'm a schizophrenic. I'm bipolar, and I'm 100% sure at this point that I'm also on the autism spectrum. I just haven't been diagnosed with that. But a dual diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder and bipolar disorder 2 is more than enough to get declared as disabled and needing mental health assistance. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It doesn't make me a bad parent, but it does make me a person that's vulnerable and needs some assistance. Anyway, at that point I was already receiving, actually I was not receiving disability yet, but I already had everything going through the court. It's been many years ago. It's hard to remember if I was receiving it or not receiving it at that time, to be honest. But at any rate, it was already well established that I had mental health issues, and I was under the care of the Maricopa Sheriff Department's head psychiatrist. I forget his name. He's an older gentleman, a Hispanic gentleman. I forget his name. Dr. I can't believe I don't remember his name. So ever since I was originally diagnosed with these severe mental illnesses in the mid-90s, I've had several different psychiatrists that have been assigned to me, and it's really bothering me that I can't remember the name of the doctor that I had in Maricopa County jails, but since my original diagnosis, I have been to jail several times, sometimes due to mental health related issues, sometimes due to custody related issues, because my ex-wife loved trying to get me jailed based on a child support obligation I couldn't pay and based on false allegations of violence that I didn't do. Believe all women. I'm hoping Depp and Heard have changed that believe all women narrative, but regardless, believe all women, arrest the man, and, guilty until proven innocent if you're a man and a woman accuses you. Anyway, yeah. Hispanic, Dr. Garcia. How can I forget a Such a common Hispanic name as that, Dr. Garcia. I was originally assigned to Dr. Garcia, I want to say in 1996, when I had a mental breakdown where I was having hallucinations that resulted in me in jail. That's actually what ended up with me being a convicted felon. I told that story a few vlogs back. I'll try to remember to link it to this, but I probably won't. But I do believe that if you search for why I'm a convicted felon or something like that, it comes up. That's the first time Dr. Garcia was assigned to my case. In 96. So, yeah, you better believe by, I want to say 2005, when this was going on and I was in jail and Danielle was trying to take Allison and move away to Quebec, that Dr. Garcia was quite familiar with me. And out of Dr. Garcia's waiting room more than a couple times. Dr. Garcia, the only doctor I've had that I ever felt more comfortable with, I felt had a better grip or as good of a grip. I won't even say better, as Dr. Garcia was great, but had as good of a grip of like what my symptoms and issues are, and the fact that I don't need a lot of medication. I don't need to be over-medicated, but I do kind of need some conditional accommodations and maybe some medication if I'm starting to have episodes to keep me level. And that the fact that, yeah, like this is a legit situation with me, it's a condition I have, it's Dr. Garcia. I was with Dr. Garcia long before Dr. Levitt. So, yeah, by the time, hey, doctor, I'm back. Dr. Garcia always remembered me. Dr. Garcia was a very smart man. I don't even know he's still alive. I haven't seen Dr. Garcia in well over a decade, and he was an elderly man then. But anyway, Dr. Garcia had basically filed a thing saying that I couldn't participate in work release because of serious mental illness, that I needed to be in his care in the jail. So that was the main thing that was stopping me from doing work release. And of course, her, Daniela's lawyer is like, well, he's fine, he can work. Yeah, that's not what my county sheriff appointed doctor says. So yeah. And then on top of that, at the time, and I don't know if it's the same now, because now it's Sheriff Penzone, but under Sheriff Arpaio had a policy that if you were a man and you were held in jail, you had to shave your head. I have long hair. Like right now it's only about shoulder length, but most of my life my hair has gone to the middle of my back. I have a lot of reasons for having long hair. Mostly it's just me. It's comfortable. It's who I am. There's some minor religious reasons. I don't want to get into them, but part of it is a religious belief. Jesus had long hair. You got a problem with Jesus? So yeah. Anyway, they were trying to force me to shave my head in the jail, and I had filed something in the federal district court against Joe Arpaio, the county sheriff, and Maricopa County jails regarding basically religious discrimination and sexual discrimination on them trying to tell me that I needed to cut my hair, because they don't require that of women. I need to shave my head. I do believe if I'd have followed through on that, I probably would have won. I had very solid legal arguments on both legs, and either one of them could have won on their own. I mean, the gender discrimination is pretty open and shut. If you require something of men and you don't require it of women, that's gender discrimination. It's not rocket science. The religious one was a bit stronger of a reach, but I certainly quoted the right scriptures. And who is one man to judge another man's faith and belief? And if I say that I want to have long hair because my Savior Jesus Christ had long hair, who are you to question that? Seriously. Who are you to question that? Would you have held Jesus Christ in a cell because he had long hair and didn't want to shave his head? Because he didn't shave his head because he was a Nazarene, and that was the religious tradition of Nazarene Jewish men. Obviously I'm not Jewish, but just saying, throwing that out there. Would you have held him in jail because he didn't shave his head? Because that was his belief? Anyway, before I get sidetracked by that, Yeah. So I never got to follow those through because when I was in the process of challenging that, and I was in that jail stay lasted a while because I was not fitting into the boxes that the family court was trying to get me into, which is basically, in my opinion, involuntary servitude. They basically wanted me to stay the night in jail and go out on a work release program and work through a job that they assign me, and they take my paycheck and give it directly to my ex-wife while I stay in jail and pay off this huge debt that I should have never owed in the first place. And it's already been challenged on involuntary servitude in the courts, and that's somehow not a winning argument. I don't get it. It should be, but it's not. But yeah, I had two the number one thing is I absolutely couldn't leave for release because Dr. Garcia said that I couldn't leave because of my mental health, which there are records of in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office going back. Like, I got mental health records going back to 1995 with the sheriff. That's one of the most, in fact, one of the main reasons I got disability was because of the files that were held by Dr. Garcia and the Sheriff's Department, because they keep really good records. Say whatever you want about Arpaio, but his department kept damn good records. Yeah, he. But then I was challenging, and I was kept in solitary confinement because I wouldn't cut my hair, which wasn't a big deal to me. I'm completely cool with being alone. As you see in these vlogs, I'm alone most of the time. I had no problem being alone in a cell. Spent a lot of time reading. About 50% of the time I was reading law books and giving myself greater education into the legal matters that were facing me and that were before me, and reading case law about challenges regarding religious beliefs and challenges regarding unequal treatment of people based upon their gender. And mind you, this is back, this is a good solid decade ago, more like 13 years ago, back when gender was not such a confusing topic. People knew what a woman was back then. If you had a penis, you were a man, and if you had a vagina, you were a woman. It was pretty open and shut now. Open and shut then. It seems to be something that people are confused about now, but that's a separate tragedy. I'm not gonna descend into that bag of worms that the new Supreme Court justice can't even seem to figure out. And you can say that's a conservative talking point all you want, but here's video of her being asked that in a Senate hearing, her saying that she can't answer what a woman is. But back in the mid-90s, when I was facing this legal challenge, it was pretty clear a woman was an adult with a vagina and a man was a woman with a penis. And if you were treating the people with the vaginas different than you're treating the people with the penises, you were doing what qualified under federal law as sexual discrimination. I mean, beyond obvious things. I mean, you really don't need to give the guy with the penis access to tampons. But you do need to give the guy with the penis that has long hair access to hair ties. And Arpaio's commissary was refusing to let me have hair ties based upon the fact that I'm a man and have a penis. So that was actually part of my complaint against Sheriff Arpaio, which sadly I never followed through on, which I could have probably got a good money judgment out of that as well. But anyway, moving right along. When my ex-wife filed the thing trying to move away, while he's in jail and he doesn't see his kid anyway, so I need to go to Quebec thing. And I was like, yeah, the reason I don't see my kid and I'm in jail is because she's ridiculous. And I'd like to see my kid. This is just her next step in trying to take my kid away from me. That was my defense on it. And the judge fully sided with me on it. He did. And I hate to sidestep what's going on here, but there's a lot of flashing lights ahead of me. And one of the topics of discussion that was going on at Wander Inn is how apparently there's a whole lot of police at the break room where I used to host karaoke at. The break room has got a lot of gang violence issues. I don't know if there's shooting or what tonight, but there are a lot of cops here. A lot of cops. Oh, we got crime tape surrounding the entire fucking property. Holy shit, yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I'm willing to bet money somebody got shot. Dang it, I almost went there tonight too, because the bartender tonight, I forget her name, but she's on my Snapchat. She's a total sweetheart. She was, the last time I had a karaoke show, she worked there every night. Well, no, she worked about half the nights I was doing karaoke, and the other half of the nights she'd just come in and hang out and sing. I want to say she's in her early 30s, single mama, black woman, absolutely stunningly gorgeous, very smart. She does events, promotions. Yeah, kind of glad I didn't show up, and I hope she's okay. Not sure why I'm going this way. Kind of curious if Priscilla's vehicle is here. It's 3:10 in the morning, so probably it isn't. And if it is, like, she probably left it here and left with her dark-skinned man who bought her a bass guitar that she doesn't play. She leaves on my couch with the rest of her shit. Part of me wants to grab that and kind of repo it and stash it somewhere until she pays me the money she owes me, but yeah, I have a lot more stuff that she could start taking from me than the bass guitar I could easily take from her. And speaking of that, that's something I wanted to talk about right at the beginning of this video that I completely got sidetracked. Meeting the guy that's traveling from Colorado to see his son because his mother moved away, his 2-year-old son, three days a week, and is just going through a lot of fucking work and challenges to just maintain a relationship with his 2-year-old son, which is something that I can relate to just because of all the stuff I've gone through to, you know, keep my daughters in my life. And then also as a child of divorce, my father did some pretty ridiculous shit against my mother to stop my mother from seeing me, and did that shit repeatedly. And I know my mother bought plane tickets and drove from Wyoming to Arizona more than a couple of times to have my father deny her access to me when I was a young child. So yeah, that shit hits home with me. It's kind of a big deal to me. Yeah. It upsets me. So to see a young guy, and he's like 28, going through the ringer with this, I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're awesome for doing what you're doing to maintain your seeing your son's life, and it's really fucked up what your son is doing, or what your son's mother is doing to you. That's really fucked up. It's really fucked up that Colorado has laws that let her do that. Just kind of looking for Priscilla's vehicle. Sometimes she stays the night over here, but yeah, this is not where her new dark man lives. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, this guy's just really going the extra mile to stand his son's life. And I tried to encourage him. It's like, you know, you need to come here. You need to change jurisdiction, or just file a petition, or file a request with the court once you get here to switch jurisdiction from Colorado to Arizona, because you're now both currently residents of Arizona. Because with him living in Colorado, even though the mother is here with the child, by operational law, Colorado still maintains jurisdiction. He needs to also move here in order for the jurisdiction to change to Arizona. Once the jurisdiction changes to Arizona, he can apply for better parenting time, he can petition for better parenting time, and she'll never be able to leave him like that again. So anyway, back to my story about Daniela moving away from me. Sorry I got sidetracked with my mental health and Dr. Garcia. God, I miss Dr. Garcia. So I had that hearing, and there are basically two hearings. There was a pre-hearing where we argued on the motion. Just I gave a statement, she gave a statement, and the judge ruled. And then they set an evidentiary hearing where we could have witnesses and present, you know, exhibits if we wanted to, and And then the judge, took that under advisement, made a decision. Actually, he made a decision in the courtroom before, like, in front of her, before, he didn't take it under advisement. It was pretty obvious what she was trying to do. And he, what he said in that courtroom was pretty harsh, and it was very much in my favor. But yeah, when I had that hearing, when I had the initial hearing, I was still in custody, so I showed up in that courtroom wearing Joe Arpaio's stripes and shackles and handcuffs. So, yeah, that doesn't give the appearance of somebody that's a good father. It just doesn't. And the situation was screwed up, and the judge kind of saw that the situation was screwed up, but that's not... I knew that if I came back for the final evidentiary hearing and I was still in cuffs and shackles because I was busy mounting a constitutional right challenge based on religion and gender discrimination over the length of my hair, that I might have won that, but probably the family court, I might have won that with the federal judge, but most likely the federal judge was going to look at the fact that I was making that a priority and not my daughter Allison a priority, and just be like, yeah, that's fine, girl. You just you go ahead and have a nice life in Montreal. So as much as it was not who I was, as much as I did not want to do it, and as much as it went against everything that I believe in, when I got back from that first hearing, where the judge set like the date for the evidentiary hearing, which was not far off, I went back and I shaved my head, and I forget, I let them shave my head. Now I forget exactly what the happenstance said, but I did get released from jail shortly thereafter, because basically I'd had everything in gridlock with the county sheriff and my incarceration there based upon my constitutional challenges because I refused to shave my head. God, so many cops at the break room. I want to say it'd be the end of the break room, but it's not even close to the first time that's happened. I'm just thankful every time there's been like a major incident there, I've not been there working or hanging out. But I am concerned about my bartender friend, because I know she was working tonight. She sent me a message on Snapchat asking me to come out and check it out. So I'm kind of glad I didn't. Looks like it was a bad night. It's 3:17 in the morning, and police tape completely covering the parking lot, and more cops than I could count. Yeah, something bad happened. Still not going to blame hip-hop. I mean, hello. I'm listening to hip-hop. I'm not going to blame any certain race for that, but there is a certain element of a certain culture that seems to glorify that kind of gang violence, and that's what happens when that's glorified. Anyway, moving right along. So I shaved my head. I forget exactly what happened after that, but I did get released. I didn't go into a work release program because that still didn't change the fact that Dr. Garcia was not allowing me to participate in that. But I did get, moved to general population, and I shortly thereafter got released for some reason. I forget exactly why. But when I went back to the hearing regarding my ex-wife's move-away petition, wanting to move to, or my petition challenging her request to move away, she had to file a responsive pleading to it, wherein she said that she wanted to move to Montreal, Quebec. Because I just can't find a good job here in Arizona, and I need to go there where I have family support. The judge pretty much listened to what she had to say and listened to what I had to say, and of course I was there in street clothes, so that made a difference. Had I been there in shackles and cuffs and stripes, I probably wouldn't have gone as well for me. But I was there with a freshly shaved head and was able to report that I was, back to work and doing what I was doing, and intended to file court challenges, and I really did want to see my daughter, but she's still stopping me from seeing my daughter. And of course he was not there to make any rule about the custody stuff, so that was not his deal. But he did tell her that, you haven't presented me with anything that benefits the child that in Quebec that you can't do in Arizona. He's like, I'm not going to buy that there ain't jobs in Arizona. There's jobs in Arizona. You can get a job in Arizona. You might not like the jobs you're getting in Arizona. You get a home in Arizona. You might like the jobs you get in Arizona. But the reality is that all these things you're saying that you have are available in Arizona. Now, if you feel that you personally need the support of extended family that you have in Quebec, that's fine. I don't have jurisdiction to tell you to stop. I'm just using the judge's words. I don't have the jurisdiction to tell you to stop and that you can't move to Quebec. But if you decide that you still need to move to Quebec, then the minor child is going to stay here in Arizona, and I will place her with her father. Needless to say, Daniela did not move to Quebec. In fact, I don't know if she ever even went back to Quebec after that. It wasn't that many years after that she decided to take a whole bunch of pills, a ridiculously large amount of pills, and run a tube from her tailpipe into the inside of her car and let her car idle while she basically gave herself carbon monoxide poisoning and whatever kind of poisoning from the pills, and went off into according to my religious belief, she took a one-way trip to hell and left our 14-year-old daughter to come home and find her dead body sitting in the car, which is nothing any 14-year-old should ever have to endure. And as I expected, Priscilla's vehicle is not here. No shock there. Anyway, yeah, so that's how that went. I forget the name of the young father that I met tonight. I hope he heeds my words, but at the very least, I know he's doing what he needs to do to stay in his son's life. He's talking about moving from Colorado to Montana. That puts him farther from Arizona. You know, I told him, it's like, you know, you're doing what you got to do, but understand the amount of influence you're going to have on your son, your young, impressionable, just still kind of a toddler son. 3 days a month isn't nothing on the impression his mother's going to make on him. He's like, well, I told him it's like hot. You don't like it. He's like, yeah, Daddy, it's really hot. I'm like, you know what? When I was 2.5, I lived in Arizona. It is really hot. I mean, my custody arrangement growing up, after I finally got sick of my dad and his second wife's bullshit, and decided that I would much rather live with my mother and my stepfather, and basically push the issue. And it wasn't through the courts. Like, I basically pushed the issue. I was just like, I'm not going to live here. And as a I want to say 12-year-old kid, as a fifth grader, I just simply started running away from home. I just didn't want to be there. And eventually my stepfather and my mother came and they picked me up in Phoenix. And I don't really know how the court details worked out. I mean, I guess I could go look at the records, but it's my understanding that my father gave in and signed off to let my mother have custody because he realized that he was going to have a 12-year-old runaway and things were going to get a whole lot more difficult for him if he didn't let me live with my mom where I wanted to live. But from that point on, from 5th grade until, I want to say, 10th grade, 11th grade, when I just decided I was done visiting my dad, my reality growing up was winters in eastern Wyoming, and summers in Phoenix, Arizona. So in terms of weather and climate, I got the best of both worlds going up. And just for the record, I'm cool with winters in Arizona, and I'm completely cool with summers in Phoenix. I love summers in Phoenix. In fact, I got keys to a swimming pool on the adjacent property here. I might go take a swim right now because I can. I like the heat. It doesn't really faze me. Sometimes when it gets up to 115, 118, it's kind of brutal, you know, but I deal with it. Given the choice between not being in the heat and not being with my kids, or not being with my kids to not be in the heat, or being in the heat to be with my kids, it wouldn't even be a difficult decision. I'm going to be with my kids. But I can't tell that guy how to live his life. He's obviously a stronger father than most young men are. Just the fact that he's willing to take a trip from Vail, Colorado to Phoenix, Arizona to spend 3 days with his 2-year-old son. And I'm sure he's, paying heavily for transportation and whatnot. I hope I see him again. He's a good kid. A 28-year-old. When you're 50, almost 52, you can call a 28-year-old a kid. But anyway, I kind of shared my story with him. I showed him a picture of the day that both of my daughters finally met each other. And the day they finally met each other, Allison was 14 and Lily was 7. And like no child should have to wait 7 years of their life to meet their sibling because their sibling's mother has bitterness issues. But that's what my children grew up with. Anyway, my girlfriend probably out getting pounded by some other dude. Good for her. I'm just gonna go home and chill. At least I know she's not here fucking making my home miserable. And that's what's up. Thanks for coming with me. Wow. Can't believe I ran 50 minutes of video and I didn't really go anywhere. Thanks for watching. Thanks for caring. It's a crazy fucking world we live in. But, yeah, we are all we are, right?